Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. Size. I, 60 female, just celebrated my 60th birthday at my newly purchased beach house, without my only son, Matthew, 34 male. And this wasn't an accident. For the first time in my life, I chose not to invite him. And when he found out what I did, and what I said in front of our entire extended family, he lost his mind. He accused me of being cruel, bitter, manipulative, and vengeful. But before you judge me, let me tell you what led to that moment. Because this betrayal didn't start on my birthday. It started decades ago, when my best friend stole my husband, when my son chose her, when I was erased from every holiday photo and birthday memory for years, and when I finally decided I was done bleeding just to earn a seat at a table I built. Carla and I were best friends for over 20 years. We met when our boys were in kindergarten. We were inseparable. Coffee dates, family BBQs, weekend trips. Our families were intertwined. Our kids grew up side by side. Our husbands got along. It was the kind of friendship you build a life around. Until the night I found out that life was a lie. My ex-husband, John, 63 male, and I were married for over 2 decades. We had our struggles, like every marriage, but I thought we were solid. We built a home together, raised a son, survived layoffs, illness, deaths in the family. We were a team. Then one day, a neighbor spotted John and Carla holding hands at a gas station. She thought I need to know. My stomach sank. I confronted John, and the gaslighting began. He called me paranoid, insecure, hysterical, but my gut wouldn't let it go. Eventually, I dug. I found messages, secret weekend getaways, receipts, hotel bookings, spa appointments, photos. They were having an affair for over a year. Carla, the woman who sat on my couch, held my hand through miscarriages, toasted me on anniversaries, had been sleeping with my husband. And I was the last to know. The final blow. When I confronted her, she didn't even deny it. She said, I didn't plan this, but love finds a way. You and John had grown apart anyway, like I was the problem. Like she was liberating him. Matthew was 19 at the time, old enough to have an opinion. I needed him to see the betrayal, to see how deeply I had been wounded. But he didn't. He said he didn't want to take sides. That Dad seems happier now. That Carla had always been kind to him. That maybe I needed to let it go and move on. Let it go? I was sobbing on the floor, surrounded by divorce papers, and my son was telling me to let it go. That's when I realized he wasn't neutral. He had already picked a side. His father's, Carla's. I was the angry woman. The one who made holidays awkward. The one who couldn't move on. Shortly after the divorce, he moved in with them. I wish I could say things improved with time, but they didn't. The betrayal deepened. Several years ago, my son Matthew got married to Carla's daughter. Yes, my former best friend, the one who blew up my marriage, is now my ex-husband's wife and my son's mother-in-law. And her daughter? The girl I once watched Disney movies with during sleepovers in our living room. She's now my son's wife. Try wrapping your head around that. The woman who destroyed my family now shares grandbabies with me. Our bloodlines are tangled in the most grotesque way. Every family photo they post, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, is a slap in the face. And the cruelest irony? Carla and I share the same birthday. My birthday is July 14th. It used to be something I looked forward to. A chance to gather, to be seen, to feel loved. But for the past 10 years, it's been nothing but a painful reminder of where I stand. Because guess whose birthday they celebrate every year? Carla's. They throw her parties, post elaborate Instagram tributes. The strongest, most beautiful woman I know. My second mother. Couldn't have asked for a better mother-in-law. All posted on my birthday. Not even a text. Not even a happy birthday, Mom. One year I finally said something. I texted Matthew and said, I miss you. Would love to see you on my birthday. He replied, we already have plans with Carla, Mom. Maybe next weekend. I stopped asking after that. One year they took a cruise. Carla's 60th. Balloons, matching t-shirts, champagne toasts. That was supposed to be my milestone too. I spent one Christmas dinner crying into cold mashed potatoes. Another Thanksgiving, I sat alone with a rotisserie chicken because Matthew couldn't miss Carla's famous pecan pie. Every time I invited him, he was already committed to his father's house. The house Carla decorated, the kitchen Carla cooked in, the one I used to call mine. Only my sister and my niece Lily consistently showed up. Lily, bless her heart, started coming over in her teenage years just to sit with me and watch old movies. She'd make me tea, paint my nails, ask me questions about my childhood. She reminded me I wasn't completely forgotten. But it wasn't the same. I'd raised Matthew, loved him, stayed up nights sewing Halloween costumes, paid for college, and now I was the ghost at the family table. This year, something in me snapped. Maybe it was turning 60. Maybe it was looking in the mirror and seeing a woman who had spent 20 years waiting to be loved back by people who never would. Maybe it was just finally realizing I was done. I had saved up for years. I bought myself a beach house. I decided that this year I would celebrate my birthday my way. I invited my sister, my niece Lily, a few close friends who had stuck around. I did not invite my son, for the first time ever. I didn't even tell him. And it was magical. We laughed. We danced barefoot on the patio. Lily brought cupcakes. I gave a toast. And then I made an announcement. This home is the best gift I've ever given myself. But one day, it will be a gift to someone else. I've decided that I'm leaving this beach house to Lily. Because she has always made me feel loved and cared for. She was always there for me, same as my sister. And this is my thank you. The room went still. My sister cried. Lily looked stunned. It wasn't revenge. It was my wish that came from my heart. It took 2 days for Matthew to find out. Someone posted a photo. The house, the cake, the toast. Then came the storm. 23 missed calls, 6 voicemails, dozens of texts. You're a monster. How dare you cut me out? You're insane for giving away property to someone who isn't even your child. This is payback for Dad, isn't it? Carla is crying. Are you happy? He said I was erasing my own family. As if they hadn't erased me first. As if I hadn't sat alone through a decade of birthdays while he toasted the woman who destroyed my life. As if I was the villain, for finally saying enough. So am I the asshole for not inviting my son to my birthday and leaving my beach house to my niece instead of the child who turned his back on me years ago? Not the a-hole. OP's son didn't forget OP's birthday. He chose to ignore it. Repeatedly. He chose to celebrate the woman who tore OP's life apart, year after year, while pretending OP didn't exist. And now, the moment OP stands up for herself, he cries betrayal? Number. This is just the consequence of his own actions. OP doesn't owe loyalty to people who made her feel disposable. OP gave her love, her time, her patience, and all he gave her was silence. Good for OP. He doesn't deserve anything from OP. And now let's hear community's opinion. This broke my heart. I'm a mom too. I don't think people understand the kind of grief it is to be alive and feel abandoned by your child. You didn't cut him off. You let go after years of being forgotten. There's a difference. I don't blame you one bit. Lily sounds like a blessing, and I'm so glad you have her. Not the a-hole at all. I hope you find healing at that beach house. You deserve joy, not just survival. Matthew wasn't mad about missing your birthday for 15 years, but suddenly he's furious when you leave your beach house to someone else. Wow, what a coincidence he doesn't miss you. He misses your assets. He chose to build a new family, so let him inherit their property. Actions have consequences, and beachfront real estate isn't a participation trophy. Not the a-hole. He made his bed, Now let Carla tuck him in. Gonna go against the grain a little. I do think somewhere deep down your son hoped you'd keep trying. Some people expect unconditional love no matter how poorly they treat you. That said, you're still not the a-hole. You tried. For years. He didn't just choose Carla. He chose to watch you be sidelined, silenced, erased, and did nothing. If he's hurt now, maybe it's the wake-up call he needed. But you don't owe him your peace, your property, or your presence. He had his chance.
My wife, 44 female, makes quite a bit less than me, 45 male. So our joint expenses are split 70-30. For the most part, things like vacations and where we bought a house are decided based on what she can afford. But there have been several times I've paid in full for vacations to places I really enjoy and wanted to share the experience with her. She has a 23-year-old son from her previous marriage. When she and I got together, I told her I wouldn't mind paying extra for things here and there until her son was 18 and working or in school, so she could take care of him. For the majority of our relationship, he has lived with his father. He decided against college or trade school and hasn't expressed any interest in starting to figure out a plan for the immediate future, let alone his life. He floats from job to job, and his father is pretty much the same since the kid graduated. Therein lies the problem. Every few months, they'll call her for a few $100s here, a few $100s there, $20 this week, $80 the next. Sometimes it's her son calling for help. Sometimes it's her ex-husband. This has caused her to be short on funds for our plans, or things she volunteered to cover on more than one occasion. Her reasoning when it's her ex asking is that since their son still lives with him, she has to help him. I get that to a point. We were supposed to go on a vacation later this month. Nothing major or fancy, but just time away. We had agreed to split the cost, and all that was left to pay for were the hotels, rental car, and some reservations. Her ex-husband called needing help getting his car out of impound and getting caught up on rent. Their son hasn't been able to get work without the car because he doesn't want to ride a bike or take a bus. Almost $5,000 later, they're set up, but my wife told me she can't pay for her portion of our vacation, so I told her I was canceling it. She called me a heartless jerk, that she's just taking care of her son, and we've been arguing over it, but my stance is this. They're both able-bodied adults that keep making a series of life decisions that keep them at a standstill, like quitting jobs over little things, smoking, going out. And her always digging them out of their hole is starting to impact our lives more and more, and I didn't sign up for that. Am I the a-hole for canceling our vacation instead of just footing the entire cost myself? Not the a-hole. She couldn't pay for her part of the vacation, which she agreed to a long time ago, because she's choosing to enable bad behavior by grown adults. The difference is that you've decided not to enable bad behavior by a grown adult. Her. Not the a-hole. You're basically financing her ex and son because she shoves the bill through you. You didn't sign up for that. You haven't even been asked whether you wanted to. Not the a-hole. Your wife enables her son to be a bum. You would be enabling her to enable her son if you didn't make her feel that there are consequences of her helping like that. Her son will always be her priority, and I get that she feels like she's helping, but she's really not. She's keeping them where they are by always bailing them out. While it's not on you to rectify that, she needs to see what she's doing, and if she's okay with that, you can decide if you're okay with being married to someone like that. I am a single mother of 3 children, 18 female, 15 female, and 11 male. I don't have good financial conditions. My ex-husband pays a low pension. His salary is actually bad. We don't go hungry, but we don't have luxury. 3 years ago, my father passed away, and I received a share of the inheritance. One of my father's biggest wishes is for us to buy a house, pay off our debts, and even help with the grandchildren's college. To be honest, this money was totally used to pay off the house and pay my debts. What was left, I made a big shopping, groceries, and paid the house bills, so I didn't reserve for my children. It was a difficult decision, but we went from being in debt to living paycheck to paycheck. Not ideal, but much better. Since they were young, I told my children that if they wanted to go to college, I couldn't help them if they decided to go to college outside the city, and that they would have to work for it. But if they stayed in the city, they wouldn't need it so much because they would live at home. My oldest daughter got in a great college and is looking for jobs in the city, as well as cheap housing and government subsidies for living expenses. She will start in August. An important context. My brother is doing well financially. We don't get along so well for random reasons, but our kids are friends. He has a son the same age as mine. I think in one of her conversations about college with her cousin, she found out that he had a college fund left with grandfather's inheritance. I never mentioned to my children that it was my father's desire to help his grandchildren, as it was up to us whether we did that or not. My daughter, when she found out, said that I could have saved money for the children, and they wouldn't have difficulty in college, in addition to needing government help, or having planned myself financially better, but that it was selfish to have ignored a grandfather's desire to pay for my things, unlike my brother who prioritized his son. This hurt me a lot, as it was a necessary decision, but I told her that I did what was necessary to keep food on the table, and she needs to get better at our situation instead of coming to complain to me about decisions that are solely mine and not hers about this money. We are not on good terms. She still thinks I made a selfish decision. Am I the a-hole? Extra. The debts are credit card expenses because I was unemployed at that time, and I used up my cards for months to have food at home and pay the mortgage, so we wouldn't be homeless. And the big groceries purchase was because we needed it after months of having the bare minimum at home. But 90% went to pay the house. These wishes of my father's were never written in will, only what the division would be. But he always told his children how he would like us to spend it. He was already in poor health. If it was of utmost importance that the money go to your kid's education, he could have set it up that way in his will. He didn't, and left everything to you instead. Not the a-hole. It's not like you're using the money for vacations instead of funding their education. Also, you have little children in the home currently. Housing and food take precedence over post-secondary education. Not the a-hole. Your father left money to help you. You used it for your family. College is, unfortunately, a luxury. You were forced to triage the situation, and housing and food are simply a higher priority than higher education. Your daughter is old enough to understand this. You're the a-hole. You were given specific instructions and basically stole from your kids. $1,000 each, a token amount, would have helped, and compound interest, although low, would help a bit more. Don't try and sugarcoat it. You had specific instructions and ignored them. I'm sure you aren't being honest about how you spend it all either. What other necessities did you get yourself? My older brother is unemployed, has almost always been unemployed, and has no intentions to ever work. His life plan is to live off our mother until she dies, then our father if he happens to live longer, then live off his inheritance. Or maybe he will try to mooch off of another relative. I don't know. Our parents have tried to get him to work. They did everything in their power to arrange him job positions where he didn't even have to interview. But no, he always comes up with an excuse to why that job is not good enough for him. He is my brother, so I love him, of course. But at the same time, I'm ashamed of him and with how his actions hurt our parents. I turned 30 this week, and we celebrated it with my family yesterday. My mom said she was 30 when she had me and asked me when my husband and I will have kids. I told her I'm not sure if I'm up to the job. Raising children seems too difficult to me. She asked what I meant, and I told her that I don't think I would be able to properly parent a child, correct their misbehaviors, and deal with them possibly not living up to my expectations, which is not fair to the child either. She pressed further, and my father joined in, acting like they don't understand what I meant. Up until I finally told them that I'm afraid my child would turn out like my brother, for example, and I don't think I could deal with that. They got quiet for a second, and I saw that they finally understood what I meant. The problem was that even though my brother was having a different conversation with one of our cousins, he heard what I said, looked at me, said, "Nice," and walked out. Our parents said that I shouldn't have said what I said, even though they admit they pressured me to explain and understand my concerns. Because it's already really hard to get my brother to come to family events, and now I made it even worse. They want me to apologize to him. I didn't mean for him to hear that, and I feel bad. But seriously, he is a 34-year-old man refusing to get a job. I think it's time we stop coddling him. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your brother is a non-functioning mooch. Unless there's something else going on, your parents pressed the issue. By the way, they are enablers. It's ridiculous. My brother-in-law was also an unemployed mooch living with mommy from age 35 to 50. I told my husband that the brother-in-law is perfectly capable. Brother-in-law then met a gal who kicked his dead butt into shape, and he got a job and got married. The enabling is a real problem. Not the a-hole. Pure and simple. Your life, your choice. Raising kids is a lot of work. I have 4, trust me. Worst thing for a child is having a parent that's not ready to commit the parent's life to raising a child. Now, if you want a child but simply are afraid of XYZ, let me comfort you. Every child is different. Your parents are enabling your brother. That doesn't have to be you and your child. It's quite possible you won't have the same challenges with your child your parents have with your brother. Make no mistake, there will be challenges. 99% chance they'll have their own unique twist on making your life interesting, however. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you don't want children for more reasons than just your brother. Stand firm, and don't let your parents argue with you about it. It's really not their business if you have children or not, nor is your reasoning. Your brother is the a-hole. Screw him and his feelings. What a lazy, worthless human whose plan is to mooch off your folks, then someone else. Your parents are enabling his behavior, and that doesn't do anyone any favors. He will never feel good about himself until he gets off his butt and goes to work. Not your problem, and neither are his feelings. We had some financial setbacks and were in a bad spot. My husband approached mother-in-law about staying with her to get back on our feet. That was a really hard step for me, and I know it was mega generous on her end. Mother-in-law's house is huge. It is like 4 to 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, home gym, art studio, so I really thought we could make it work. My kids have been waking mother-in-law up. I'm doing everything in my power to keep them quiet, but with a baby and a toddler, that sometimes feels impossible. And mother-in-law likes to sleep until 9:30, usually closer to 10. At first I felt awful when we woke her up, but lately she's been crying over how sleep-deprived she is, despite getting over 8 hours a night. Also, her fake crying is just bad. It doesn't produce tears. Mother-in-law's husband has been getting very concerned about the crying, because in general, she rarely cries. It has become this routine of him comforting her every morning while glaring daggers at me. It has affected how he treats me, and he is beginning to get very rude. He has also been bribing mother-in-law with various stuff to get her to stop crying. I sat down and tried to talk it out with mother-in-law. I said as nicely as possible that her and her husband have a lifestyle which doesn't match up with 99% of people. She has never worked, he doesn't really work, maybe a few days a month, and that I know she has always had the freedom to do whatever she wanted. But I have 2 little babies, and I'm trying my best. Mother-in-law said she gets that in the moment, but when she wakes up, she's just pissed. She admitted that it is worse on me than on her, and said it was fine. Well, the next morning, mother-in-law came down clearly pissed, but didn't start with the fake tears until her husband got up. He immediately gave me a death stare and began hugging her and comforting her. I finally snapped that this is ridiculous. She is crying about not being able to sleep until 10, as if that is a normal need, and he needs to stop coddling her because he is the reason she continues to fake cry. Mother-in-law got mad and said I know she has dry eyes, and that is why she doesn't produce tears. She does need eye drops sometimes, but come on. She said how dare I yell at her in her house, and maybe I'm mad because my husband couldn't comfort me, but that's my problem. You're the a-hole. When you're living on someone's generosity, this is not the tack to take. Telling them that they're spoiled and should suck it up and accusing them of fake crying. Keep this up and you'll be living somewhere else. The answer on your end is to try to figure out how to minimize kid sounds. White noise machine. Get them up and out of the house in the morning. Have them as far away from her sleeping room as possible. You're the a-hole. She has a right to sleep as late as she wants in her own home. Miss Judgy Pissy Pants. You're mooching off her, and you have the ducking gall to judge her and her husband for not having jobs they don't need? Keep your kids quiet, and tell her you're very sorry for disturbing their peace. You're the a-hole. I was going everyone sucks here, but your comment about her needing eye drops put me over the top. You admit she needs eye drops and call her fake. You expect your in-laws to adjust to your schedule, your patterns, and their house, where you and yours are guests. You asked to live with them. It wasn't an invitation. If her needs in her home are that ridiculous to you, move. My fiancé and I are about to get married. We're working out the guest list and what the seating arrangements would look like. We have a rough draft, but my fiancé's list is causing problems. I never thought I'd be someone that cared this much about weddings or have an argument that used these words, but this got me. My fiancé wants to invite her daughter's grandmother, who lives overseas, as her own mother has passed and she was like a mother to her. She's already asked, and the grandmother can come. She just have to bring her daughter to help her. They've gotten everything worked out and bought tickets. Everyone is very excited to finally get to see and meet them, as it's been over 5 years since their last visit, including her other grandchildren, my wife's daughter's half-sisters. This is where the problem comes in. Due to how long the grandmother and aunt will be here, the only way the half-siblings could see them is if they attend the wedding. I really don't want that to happen. I realize that these are their relatives, and they haven't gotten to see either of them in over 5 years. But it would make things so much more complicated. If I invited them, we would have to invite their mother, which means we would have an entire table devoted to, basically, my fiancé's ex's family, with the number of people we'd have. Even in the best-case scenario, it would destroy the entire idea of the wedding, because my stepdaughter would only want to be with her sisters. We wouldn't be able to get her to come sit with us or even take pictures. We'd also be risking fiancé's ex showing up to see his mother as well, something none of the kids would want. It would just be maximum drama and stress. My kids wouldn't understand what's even happening. I voiced this, and now everyone is angry with me. My wife is willing to bar them, but doesn't actually agree. All of these people know now, and we're hearing it from all sides. They're saying that we hate the girls and that we're gatekeeping them from their own family. This isn't true. We just don't want to have the stress and drama and turn this into a family reunion for a completely different family when we're trying to celebrate forming our own. I'm getting calls and texts from everyone about it, and we're starting to question if we're in the wrong here and just need to suck it up because we're having this particular woman. Edit. They'll only be here for 3 days, so if they don't come to the wedding, they'll be in the area, but the grandmother will want to see them and not come to the wedding, and my stepdaughter will no longer want to go in favor of seeing the family as well. Day 1 is the rehearsal dinner and the other prep things that my fiancé would want her daughter to be there for, and Day 3 involves a lot of family things that we also want her there for. Not the a-hole. Your wedding, you decide who attends. If the ex's family wants a reunion, they should chip in to allow their grandmother to stay longer and have one the day after your wedding. A wedding is not a family reunion and should not be treated as such. It's unfortunate that your fiancé's ex's grandmother cannot extend her trip to see her family, but it is not your fault if she can only stay for the festivities. No judgment here. After reading some of the additionally provided info, you're the a-hole. You don't have to invite the ex's kids to the wedding, but it is unreasonable to monopolize this woman's time that she wouldn't have any ability to see her other relatives. She's going to be in the area for 3 days. She really can't take half a day at some point to go to a different event? Is it so important for her to be at the rehearsal dinner that the entire event would be ruined if she passed on it and showed up to the wedding itself? Or perhaps instead she should not feel obligated to go to the extended family's events following the wedding and can take the last day to see other family. An international trip is not an insignificant expense, and this may well be the last time this woman is able to make the trip, whether due to the expense or health issues. Don't throw a hissy fit about the woman seeing her grandkids, for goodness sake.